Okay, good evening to the Kaiser's Traffic Safety Bike Pedestrian Committee. Call the meeting to order for July 11, 2019. The next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from May 2019.
I move we approve the minutes of May 2019 as stated.
I can second that.
Is it for June?
Is it June?
June.
June.
Yeah, it says May, but I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's
June.
Exactly June, yeah.
June. All right.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes from the June 2019 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have an abstention.
How's that, Pat?
Pat.
How's that?
I wasn't here.
I know. You're traveling around the world.
Oh, look at all the people here.
Okay, next on the list is the appearance of interested citizens, and this is a time for citizens to come speak about an issue that is not on the agenda.
We have the list.
Do we have a list of anybody?
You do a roll call, Mike?
No. I guess
Debbie does.
Debbie takes note. Debbie, did you want me to note who was here and who wasn't?
No, I can get it.
Okay. Okay. So we have 3 names on the list here. Are you all here to speak about the Honeysuckle Street? Okay. So that is on the agenda, so if anyone else is here.
Let's let them talk.
What?
Just let them talk. I think we need to let them talk now.
Not,
Well, we
Not
have an
doing it here.
agenda item right
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
so if you're here about anything else, anyone like to speak? Okay. So we'll move on to the Honeysuckle Fifth Street pedestrian safety topic. The first person we have is Dana Bauer.
I'll go first.
Okay, so state your name and your city of residence.
Good evening. My name is Carol Dorfler. I live in Kaiser. I am here as the president of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association to support Dana and Wes with their concern over the traffic on Fifth Avenue and to encourage you to bring forth a solution to that. I did do a brief reading from NACTO, N-A-C-T-O, and they talked about tables and bumps and humps, and it looked like a table could work on that street, and those, there are tables already in our area. There's some over at the middle school, and also McNary Estates has tables in their neighborhood. So it wouldn't be an unprecedented thing to have something like that. And there is actually one they showed where it's a table, actually has a crosswalk that goes across the top of it.
Yeah.
And if you place one further south on Fifth, where it seems to be they get good traction coming up that straightaway, that might be a place to do that and slow things down. So that's all I have to say. Dana and Wes have more pictures to show you, and I hope we can get something settled.
And just for the record, you're referring to Claggett Creek Middle School.
Middle school, yes, yes.
Not Whitaker.
No, not Whitaker. No, there's nothing over at Whitaker.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next would be whomever wants to go first, Dana or Wes.
Yes, we can.
We got enough.
Yes.
Yeah, we got enough.
been out of town for 2 weeks, so the pictures that you see.
Wait till you get to this.
Oh, you need all the beginning stuff. Dana Bacher, Kaiser. You want the address? You need anything else?
No.
So those are the pictures I took just before we left on vacation. And you'll see that little kids and moms are going to swim classes. And that's early in the morning. If you were to go to Fifth Avenue and Honeysuckle right now, it's loaded up with vans and trucks and cars because of a competition tonight. And children. Lots of children, lots of parents. Lots of noise. And I love the summer noise. That's why I've been in that house as long as I've been there. But that's what you're seeing daily. Little kids dodging between cars. Carol's backing me up, and I'm backing Carol up. We need something there soon, fast. It's not going to go away.
How, can you describe how this is different than in past years, or if it is?
I don't know whether or not, I didn't have any trouble when my kids were growing up because the cars were smaller. We had VWs, we had small Hondas, you had smaller cars. Everybody's got a big, giant, rumbling vehicle now. And I think that's the major concern that I have, is that they're not going to stop that vehicle fast enough if a toddler like one of those steps out. And I told you last time, we had the bus issue, and that bus could not possibly stop at going 25 miles per hour. So a tabletop pump would be wonderful. And last meeting, if I remember right, you were going to city council or the council to talk about this. Did that happen?
No,
No. But we want to, this evening, we would make a recommendation
Good.
to city
Okay.
council.
Great. That's all I have.
Could you just describe the pictures that you've included,
I'm
where
on-
we're looking at?
I'm on my
and-
deck, which faces the pool.
Okay.
And I just happened to hear noises, and I was watering, and I looked up, and I thought, oh my God, this is exactly what we're talking about. Moms unloading children. Toddlers are wandering around on the sidewalk, hopefully, while mom's getting the baby out of the car seat. The doors have to slam. The playthings have to come along. The stroller has to come along while she's got all these toddlers. Then two moms came up the street with more children. And they were standing right there to all collect and go then collectively across the street. But you'll notice there are a couple of kids in the street ahead of them.
Is this sort of the west side of Fifth at Honeysuckle, or where? Or,
It is the west side of Fifth at Honeysuckle.
Okay.
take it from there. I have a question.
Yes.
This is a public swimming pool, correct? It's a private pool?
It's a private pool.
Private club?
But it's been extended. The boundary used to include all of Willamette Manor Park, which is just Hornet and Sunset and down
Yeah.
in there. We had a concentration of kids. Now, it's to keep the pool going, they've opened up the membership. So they can have X amount of people, but they can even come from West Salem.
So it's a privately owned
It is.
business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's nonprofit.
Okay.
Do you find, obviously, outside of the summer months, there's not much pool use, I would imagine.
Right, no.
What about vehicle use? Do you find it to be higher in the summer or higher during the rest of the year? During the school year?
It's just getting more and more. I don't know where they come from, unless they come in from River Road. I don't know where they come from, but it seems like we do, and we have, we have those that are going to just start at Hornet and make it all the way to Sunset, right now. I mean, this morning, I was up about 7 and I heard one after another just whoom, whoom, whoom. Why? I don't know if that's a easier way to get down River Road or not.
It's Sunset. Isn't there a signal at Sunset and River Road?
Yeah.
On River Road, yeah, but not on Sunset and Fifth,
No.
of course.
Michael, I had one question.
Yeah.
Do you know the hours of the pool?
Hours are 12:30 to 10, I believe. but they have swim lessons in the morning.
Just in the summer, though. It's an outdoor pool, I'm assuming.
Summer, yeah, starts the end of May and goes, depending on the weather, it sometimes can go into October.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So our last speaker who signed up is Wes. And anyone who hasn't signed up that would like to speak may. Just would like you to sign up.
Hi, Wes Jackson. I live in Kaiser. Just a couple points of clarification. As Dana said, the pool has enlarged their boundaries that they draw from, and that has also increased the cars. Because the people that, of course, live farther away need to use their cars rather than neighborhood residents who would more likely walk. So that's part of why I think the number of cars has increased. And also, while we've been talking tonight mainly about the pool, our concern is also for access to the park. The main entrance to the park is directly next to the pool, and so there's same issues for access to both. Thank you.
No parking anywhere, no off-street parking?
No, for either venue.
It's a,
One other question. Did we do improvements to that park recently?
Yes. Yeah.
Here or within the last 5 years?
Within the last year, they've widened and repaved the pathways through the park and done some other improvements down in the play area. So yes, they have done improvements, but the access at the street has not changed.
and do you see fairly constant use of the park throughout the year?
Yes, and of course, that's a little more, has a little more traffic during those months when the pool is closed, because it's, of course, a play area, so even if the kids have to bundle up, they can still go play on the swings.
Any other questions?
So just so we understand, what you would like us to recommend is a table with a crosswalk in that area. Is that correct? As
I
part
think
of the
that-
solution?
I think that would be a good solution to the problem. Primarily, I'm interested in any form of traffic calming that would slow the traffic down through there and make it a safer crossing. Because there are also some ADA issues, then that should probably be looked at the same time. And so it's
Is that when you're on Honeysuckle coming into Fifth, there's a stop sign there?
yes.
Okay,
yeah.
and is there a stop sign on Fifth at Sunset?
At sunset, yes.
But Sunset's not a three-way stop. Sunset's a through street?
Sunset-
Basically, it doesn't have a stop sign on it.
Correct.
It would not need it there.
Correct. It's a T with Fifth coming into Sunset.
But if we're looking at this Honeysuckle as the main intersection that is access to the pool, and I know it's offset from the access to the park, but
Yes.
there's not a curb cut straight across from
No.
the corner on Honeysuckle. I think that was
No, there
pointed
are-
out in the meeting minutes, and I think that would be
Correct.
something that would be something that would be resolved also either with a raised table crossing or with, I don't know if the committee, I wasn't here last time, so if the committee also discussed curb extensions in that area to shorten the crossing, and that would also allow for that would then include a ramp for those that need it.
I agree, and I also suggested that we look at painting at the corner to move the cars away from the curb cutouts. Right now, especially during days like today where there's a lot of vehicles parked, then vehicles will often park in such a way that they're actually blocking the curb cutouts.
I made a point of coming by there on my way here, so.
So it doesn't happen every day or all the time, but it is a frequent occurrence.
And just for the record, you're only interested in having these at the Honeysuckle intersection, or I know.
That's the only intersection I'm aware, or that block really of Fifth.
Pretty much in the middle too of Fifth, correct?
In between Dennis Lane and Hornet
Correct,
Court?
Yeah.
correct. That
North.
block is the one where we see the problem. Although today, with the meet going on, cars extend beyond in both directions on Fifth plus down Honeysuckle in order to provide sufficient parking.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question, but I don't know if you can answer or not.
Right.
There's a stretch of land between the north of the pool, maybe 40, 50 feet. Is that the entrance to the park?
Yes.
So that's city property then?
Yes, it's actually, as I understand it, it's a pull-in, kind of a driveway next to the pump station that's there.
Oh,
So there's a
okay.
pump station, a drive, and then begins the fenced area that belongs to the pool. And so that's a de facto entrance into the park.
There's also another entrance from the other side, from Third Avenue North, a
Correct.
walkway.
Yes.
Okay, and
So it's
probably
a
not a whole lot of people know about that.
Pardon?
Probably not a whole lot of people know about that walkway.
Well, obviously, the people that live in that area, but that also doesn't have the same traffic that goes down Fifth, because it is, you access it down Hornet or Dennis. So and it doesn't connect directly into River Road.
Could you, just offhand, who owns the pool?
I don't.
Does anybody know? Well, I'm just wondering if they've made any overtures of improving the problem they've created. If you know who it is.
I
Anybody?
don't.
Well, it's like a membership group.
No, it's a club though.
Please, yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you,
I
Wes.
want to know who owns it before they can start participating.
Hi, I'm Carol Phipps, and I live on Dennis Lane between 3rd and 5th, and I'm also not anymore a part of the pool, but for years I was part of the pool. And who owns the pool is the big mystery question, because I don't think anyone actually really owns it. It's a pool that the neighborhood has always paid a membership to, but it's an optional membership. And it's dues for the year. You don't actually buy into it, so it's a little bit different than some of the other pools maybe in the area.
Who do you write the check to?
Excuse me?
You said it's a membership.
Yes.
Who do you
So they
write
have
the
a
check?
website that I know now that you can go on. They have a website, and you can sign up for a membership.
What's the name?
Is it holidayswimclub.com or something like that? If you did a search, I think you could find it. And also on their sign in front of the pool, they've got information on how you can access the information. They do have a president and a board, so the board members probably could help you. And they have done quite a bit of renovating on the pool and keeping it up and keeping the pool house up and putting out signage and whatever they can do to actually upkeep the pool and make it look nice. But parking has always been an issue down there. And I believe parking is an issue too, because when they expanded the boundaries, now people drive to the pool, they don't walk to the pool. I think the issue too is not just with cars going quickly, it's a parking issue and a site issue. Driving on Dennis is a through street, like it crosses over Fifth and doesn't tee into it. And when there are cars parked along on both sides, the visibility when you're at the limit line where you're supposed to be when you stop to look, you cannot clearly see when there are cars parked. So you have to inch out, and truly you're out in the middle of the street by the time you can really see if it's clear. And if somebody's buzzing down, it's an accident waiting to happen. But, and then yesterday, I just want to add my 2 cents. Yesterday, I witnessed a family actually walking to the pool, and one of their children were riding their bicycle, and a car was driving and coming quite quickly. There is no sidewalk on that section from Dennis to the pool. It's a person's front lawn, and so you have to actually step up on the front lawn. So there's no sidewalk for like a small child's bike or a stroller or whatever. So you come around the corner on Dennis, which Dennis has a sidewalk, and then you have to step out into the street and go out around. So that's a safety concern. Whereas from Dennis to Sunset, there is an easement where the properties sit back, and there's, they could cut a path of some sort.
What's the lighting at that, does anybody know about the lighting at that corner on Honeysuckle and Fifth?
There is
Lights?
Oh, you mean street lights? I have no idea. I know Dennis's street lights on Dennis Lane is
No, but on
not very
Fifth.
great.
Is there a street light in front of the swimming pool? I mean, it seems like in the winter, if you were going in there, it'd be,
They have their own light. They do have their own light on their flagpole, and
are they open in the winter at all?
no, not at
So
all.
we're just looking at a May through September 30th type.
Yeah, but people do access the park too. I know,
but
And
I'm
they
talking-
park in front of the pool in order to get to the park. And then you had mentioned over on Third there being another entrance, and that is true. There is another entrance, but that street right on the corner of Dennis and Third where it curves around, there's a duplex, a triplex, and another duplex, and then there's all the townhomes or condominiums there. And so there's always on that corner, there's always a lot of people parked. And that corner's kind of a blind corner, and people come flying around that corner, and, I've yelled at people driving by, actually, so.
Pat?
I have a question for Mike, Public Works. I'm wondering if the type of solutions that are being discussed here, either the table crossing like we have at Claggett School, or the curb extensions in that area, for instance, curb extension on the east side of Fifth Street at Honeysuckle, are those things that are within the ability for the Public Works to do on their own, or would that have to go through a external grant process for funding?
Well, actually, the first thing that needs to happen is they must follow the procedure that's laid out in the Neighborhood Traffic Management Plan. And that's where you get either 75% of the people's vote, say on the frontage property on Fifth, and they get a plan together, and then they present it as a formal request, and then we move forward that way, or it needs to be brought before the neighborhood association, and then need to make a motion, and then vote on it, and then make a formal request. And at that point, we'll give you a form, and you fill out that form that states the problem, it states the area, what's going on, and from that point, the first thing is enforcement, and so we'll put out speed displays. And from that, we'll see what happens, and then if it needs to go to step 2, we'll put out traffic counters and do a volume and a speed study. And then there's certain criteria that then warrants to go to a step 3. So that's kind of the procedure that's laid out, and I can get you a copy of that neighborhood traffic management plan. And that's where it really needs to start, and then take action from there.
So that would be referring to any physical construction or signing any kind of traffic control changes, whether they're affecting just that one property or that's the process because it affects the traffic through
When you're
that.
talking about calming devices and so on and so forth, yes.
Well, yeah. For instance, even if it was only physically affecting, say, the swim club property, the effect on the traffic behavior is affecting anybody that's driving or walking through there. So is that
Right, it
why that process goes first out.
And when that form's filled out, it defines the parameters of what area you're talking about. Does it go from Sunset all the way to Fall Creek, or is it just, does it go from Sunset to Honeysuckle, or, I mean, not Honeysuckle, but say Hollyhock? So, you know, that gives us a starting spot to look into what actions can be taken, so.
Okay. I understand the process and that it will take time. I do have concerns because they're doing construction there this summer and they're redoing the tennis courts. And they're in the process of getting bids right now, and construction is probably looking to start around August. And there'll be heavy equipment coming in and out of the park to access that tennis court. And I think that will just add to the congestion and the problem. So I don't know if there's a short-term solution for now, for this summer, or why they do the construction. Do they put out signage for that? I don't know.
Well, I imagine they'll put regular construction signage, vehicles
Yeah,
entering the
because
street
those
or
trucks
stuff
will
like
be entering and exiting right there next to the pool. I mean, that's the only area that they would be able to get in and out of. So will there be signage or something that slows traffic down or lets people know?
Bill?
I'll let Mr. Lawyer.
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah, you want me to leave?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
The tennis court replacement project at Willamette Manor Park is, as she mentioned, will probably happen this summer, hopefully in August. The design of the project was done to minimize construction activities. The existing court's going to stay in place. They're going to pour concrete right over the top, okay? So there's not going to be excavation, there's not going to be haul-off, there's not going to be dump trucks, there's not going to be excavators. There's going to be service trucks, lumber, steel, and concrete trucks, okay? I'm not diminishing the concern. I'm just letting you know that we structured the project to minimize the impact to the park and to the neighborhood, okay? As they're doing their work, we can require them to put up construction ahead signs, just like any other construction zone, cones. I would bet they'll probably cone off a place for themselves to park and work from into the park. So that's the plan at this point. It's out to bid. We don't have a contractor selected, but the people that are bidding it, we believe are bidding it, are all companies we've worked with before, easy to work with, and I'm sure they will accommodate our request for signage for that at no problem. So, the other thing, if I may,
Yeah.
since I'm up here, Mike mentioned the neighborhood traffic management plan. That was adopted by the city council many, many years ago, and it is a bit of a cumbersome process. That was done intentionally so that we don't have humps, tables, roundabouts, curb extensions, any traffic calming measures just showing up in the city unless they are really needed. I know that's frustrating to the residents. I know it's frustrating to the neighborhood association, but that's what we have to work with. The committee can make a recommendation to council all you want. My suspicion is they will direct everybody right back to the neighborhood traffic management program, okay? I know that's what nobody wants to hear, but that's what we have in place. And it's done, as I mentioned earlier, intentionally, so that we don't have things show up that aren't really needed. And it's slow. I recognize that. I understand the concerns. I'm right with everybody. It is a concern. But that's the process we have in place right now. And I don't know another way to work around it. Adding stop signs, things like that, I have the authority to do that, okay? I'm hesitant to add stop signs, all right, on Fifth Avenue. I will not add stop signs on Fifth Avenue anywhere until I hear from the neighbors who are going to be directly impacted by the cars that are now going to be gunning it every time they take off. And that's going to be every day, all day long, okay? If the neighbors in the directly affected area come to me with a request, I can put stop signs up, okay? But I'm not going to do it without the support of the people it impacts the most, and those are the ones that are living right there, okay? And that's citywide. That's not just in this case. That's citywide, okay? So I just wanted to share that information while I had the opportunity.
So I have a couple questions for you, Bill.
Sure.
First, that traffic management plan, the neighborhood one, it is fairly old.
Yes.
The update process on that? Is that something the council directs, or is that something we can request?
You can recommend to the council that it be looked at and updated. Certainly, you can do that.
Okay.
For the current issue on Fifth Avenue, that's going to slow it down even more.
Sure.
I mean, to go through the update process and then follow whatever comes of that update is going to slow things down.
Second question, because there's a park there, and Mike was mentioning as part of this, you have to have, 75% of the people on the street asking for this.
Right?
Does the presence of a park, a city park, with ADA requirements for access and all that, does that change the calculus?
Not that I'm aware of.
No? Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I have not honestly studied that program for a long, long time, but I don't believe there's anything in there that gives special allowances or exemptions or anything because it's a park or other city-owned property.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any
I
other
mean,
questions?
honestly, I'll tell everybody right now, I wish it wasn't that complicated because from my standpoint, it's not a money issue. Okay, it's not a matter that we don't have the money to do something or do things. We do. However, we need to follow the process, so we put in what is needed. And I mean, it could be a roundabout. I'll throw that out there. I'm not saying I'm in favor of a roundabout, but that's another traffic calming measure. I mean, it really, truly is. So, all encompassing.
So,
Go ahead, Pat.
well, I guess my question concerning, this process, but I guess we can't assume that the people that live in that neighborhood are traffic engineers and public works professionals, so that, I mean, they have taken it upon themselves to look up some of the guiding documents, but it would seem like, I wonder what's the best way for the neighborhood to get technical advice to be able to point out not only the problem, but the best appropriate solutions. I mean, when I look at it, I would think that we want a solution that addresses the safety concerns that are there when the swim club is in full use, but doesn't impede or affect everybody the rest of the time, the rest of the year, and the rest of the hours that it's not operable. So,
I honestly think from the beginning standpoint, these folks have the knowledge and the capability to bring forth a recommendation, okay? Be it a tabletop, as was mentioned, a speed hump, curb ramps in certain locations, multiple speed bumps in an area. They can present that as a recommendation. That we don't need an engineer. They don't need to go out to find some super smart person to do that. They bring that forth as part of their recommendation or their proposed plan, and then it gets evaluated. Building a tabletop across the street isn't highly engineered.
right.
You know, it's more location and what features they would like to see and they've already mentioned some of those things right here tonight.
Yes.
And last month.
Yeah, and last month. So,
One more question for you, Bill.
sure.
So how about the issue about people parking straight up to the corner?
The corner and the
Is painting something that still needs to go through if you wanted to have a no parking for these first 5 feet or something?
I'm going to look to Mr. Leday over there. Lieutenant now? Sergeant. I didn't want to insult you by calling you sergeant when you're not a sergeant anymore. That's really an enforcement thing. It's illegal to park on the corner that close. It's by, correct me if I'm wrong, by statute, it's against the law. You can't do it. So it's an enforcement issue.
Is there?
Painting curbs helps because it makes it more noticeable to the public, but it's still against the law. And I hesitate to start painting curbs. The reason for that is it's a maintenance issue. It's a long-term maintenance issue. So,
Okay. Yes, Councilor.
Thank you, Chair de Blasi. From our meeting last month, there was some discussion about putting planter boxes or something in the middle of the road. And so I spoke with Mr. Lawyer and some other people about that. And could you address that, Mr. Lawyer?
planter boxes are actually hazardous, and if they're not designed properly, they're a traffic hazard. That is also considered a traffic calming device. We don't have very many in Kaiser. There's one on Linda Avenue. I think it's still there. Did we take it out, Mikey? Took it out. That was done long, long time ago. But we have very few, other than main arterials like Kaiser Station Boulevard that has the planter islands or the medians in the middle of the street. We have very, I can't think of a local street like Fifth Avenue, it's considered a local street, that have medians or planter boxes or anything that in the middle of the road. So, not that it can't be done, but that's something that takes a qualified engineer to assist in the design, not just where it's placed, but how it's constructed.
Well, did
To-
you mean,
to minimize.
did you mean with curbs, or did you mean like freestanding planter box?
Whatever. We talked about it both ways last
Right.
month.
So, not that it can't be done, but that's something that would be very unique in Kaiser, to do a median on a local street.
You also, when we discussed it, you also talked about how it would affect fire trucks and those kind of.
Yes, it does have impact on emergency services. I mean, it can slow them down, and nobody wants that to happen. So again, that's all part of evaluating placement and design of something like that. And is there room? And physically on Fifth Avenue, there's probably room, but you're going to have to create no parking where those are so that people can get around that median. And that's going to impact the people that live right there. They're not going to be able to park in front of their house or their guests or that kind of thing. So this is all a bigger issue than it might appear on the surface. And I'm not trying to be difficult. Please don't take it as being difficult or negative, and I'm not that I don't want to do something, but we need to evaluate it properly through the program and establish the best measures for the situation.
Any other questions for Bill?
Carol? Dana?
Well, we'll let these folks sit down and.
There's an immediacy here. We can't wait for the process. It's going to take months and years. And the city is at fault to begin with how they planned that area, how many years ago? 70 years ago. So it's not really up to us neighbors to go in there and evaluate and assess and get our neighbors to sign off. I'm really, you can tell, upset right now. This city's going to be sued, the first child that gets hurt. This city's going to be sued. And all of us know right now, tonight, and last time I was in here, that they've been warned. Right?
So I have a question for anyone, but maybe Carol can answer. Has the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association taken a stance on this? Official stance, I guess.
I came both evenings to support Dana. I have seen the neighborhood, what is it called?
Traffic management.
The traffic management program. It is pretty much of a hassle. Dana's very concerned. She has a right to. It's the same, almost identical issue that there was at Cummings School involving little children and trying to protect them. I totally understand where the city's coming from, but there are other issues. There's compounding issues here. We have an ADA situation that's not being met, okay? And then we have a public safety issue that's not being handled. So then it comes back to the neighborhood association to be the one who drives this instead of, as neighbors think, the city should take an active role in protecting the citizens and these little kids. So, yes, I totally support their complaint. I mean, they have a legitimate complaint. Go down there. I don't think any of you have gone down there. You need to go there. You need to see what's going on. Painted curbs are a pain in the butt. I didn't realize it was an enforcement thing, but when they painted the curb at the group home across the street from my house, because there is a stop sign where Rafael comes out to Shoreline, you could not see around the corner. and the curb got painted. Totally took care of the whole problem. Totally took care of the whole problem. So it's a small thing to do. It's a pain in the butt to maintain. I could go down there and maybe every year paint it. But we're talking about little kids here.
That down.
We're talking about little kids here. And you see those pictures. There's a mother with 6 kids. And one of them's already in the street.
I have a question, I don't know if Bill or Mike can answer it, but, Mike was mentioning the 3 steps you gotta take. Can there be a 2B where you do kind of a test case of something? Or is that not allowed?
Not in the adopted program right now. I mean, the city council can direct staff to do whatever the city council wishes they have us do, okay? But short of that, my hands are tied. Carol mentioned ADA ramps. We can put in ADA ramps. That's no problem. We have to do it right, have to do it legal, have to do it to code. And I'm going to get the street wrong, Honeysuckle, not Hollyhock, Honeysuckle, T intersection with 5th Avenue. If we update the ramps on the corner of Honeysuckle and 5th, well, then we have to put something on the east side of 5th for people to get up onto the sidewalk on 5th Avenue.
Right.
I haven't looked at that directly myself, but that's going to take away a parking spot in front of somebody's house, potentially, okay?
Front of the pool.
Front on the pool, yeah.
Or is it the pool? Okay, but then that's a parking
Yeah.
spot for the pool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna move that car somewhere else to park, okay? Having updated ADA ramps, in my opinion, does help prevent people parking closer to the corner. Number one, because they're wider, they're more visible than the old style ones. The other thing that happens for a while is they're brand new and people see them, and they realize they're not supposed to park there. That's something we can do. I mean, that's easy. That's a done deal, if you will. I can find the funding to do that. But that's about as far as we can go without direct city council direction or following the program that's in place right now. And Carol mentioned the Rafael and Shoreline curb. Gentleman approached me about painting that curb. And I told him, just like I said earlier, with this humps or wherever affecting the people, I told him I'm not going to do it for one request. You're going to have to go out and get support from the neighbors. The gentleman that I talked to doesn't even live there, doesn't even live close to that intersection. He goes through there all the time. And he took it upon himself, and he went out and he got support from many people. I can't remember, but I want to say like 60 people. It was a lot of people. Brought that to me. I took that to council because I don't have the authority to enact a no parking zone as long as that needed. Okay, I have the authority to do 50 feet within an intersection. I can do it all over the city within 50 feet of an intersection. I don't do that in local streets and neighborhoods because of the parking it takes away from the homes, okay? In this case, he brought me that petition, I moved it forward, it was created. So that kind of a thing is easy to do, but that's not a traffic calming measure.
No.
That's a no parking area. So we're talking, there's different dynamics there is what I'm trying to get to, so.
That was address the visibility issue, but not the,
Right.
Exactly.
Just for the
Exactly.
record,
Visibility could be part of the solution to get those cars. And I realize it takes away a parking place. However, what's more important, a parking place or some
No,
kid?
seems like
don't
some of that, I don't know, but what the relationship so far has been between the neighborhood, either association or the immediate neighbors, and with the swim club, because as we were talking about some of this, it would seem like it's the swim club that has, it's their action that has caused the immediate situation that's in front of us, and if some parking is given up in front of their place to solve the hazard that is related to their users, then that's to me seems like one place we ought to consider first.
I was in touch with not the president, she's the pool communications person. Oh dear. Yes, she did. And she said they are aware of the problem and they just haven't dealt with it. They just haven't dealt with it. And so it wasn't till Dana.
I mean, today, when I came by, they put some little neon statues out in the street. So that's
yeah.
probably, it was very effective, but probably not a,
It's a combination of between the pool and the park.
yeah.
And now we have this nice weather, right? And so everybody's going to the park, everybody's going to the pool, and everybody's cutting off of, I don't know this for sure, River Road to get away from the construction. No, seriously. And it's not your fault. I'm just saying, stating a fact, and using all the local streets to cut through. And I see it on Shoreline. I mean, the traffic is heavier. The traffic is just heavier, no matter what. So between the park being there and the pool being there, it just compounds each other. And now, as Wes or Dana said, the cars are bigger. Everybody's driving a Suburban because they've got 6 kids they're taking to the pool. Well, therein lies the...
And I needed to make one more comment with regards to the park. The park is part of the problem. There's no question about it. And we're making it worse because we're improving the park. Replaced the play structure, did the path work, now replaced the tennis court. That's going to draw more people to the park.
But that's okay.
That's a good thing.
We want them there. We don't
Exactly,
want them
that's a
in
good
front of
thing.
their screens.
But it certainly does add to this issue, no question about that. And I just wanted to make sure and mention that, I wear a bunch of hats as the Public Works Director, one of which is parks. And I'm sitting here with monies from the public to maintain and improve the parks, and we're doing that. And we're doing a great job of it. And at the same time, we're creating other problems that are, I'm going to say a good problem, in that people are going to the park and using the park, which is what we want. But that's adding to other issues. So I just needed to get that out, so.
It's all very true.
And we hope they keep using the park. We hope the money.
Where do we go from here? That's
Well,
the neighborhood traffic management program is at least 10 pages, at least. It is the most cumbersome thing I have ever, I looked at it and folded it up and just put it there. That was before I realized that we have to do it for this thing. I just wanted to see what it was. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
I know.
And I think Dana is trying to find an immediate solution
Right.
because of the way the things are occurring around the pool. And I'm afraid that we're not going to be able to do that. I guess we could all buy little yellow men with the flags and just line them right down Fifth Avenue or Street.
I have a thought, okay? It's kind of a two-prong. I really appreciate the immediacy of it. I mean, I'm horrible about long-range planning. My idea is, well, what are we going to do tomorrow or next week? Cities don't operate that way, unfortunately, but I have to wait till the next meeting to talk to the city council. But one thought would be, for this organization, we could make a recommendation to Dan's city council. And I'm going to ask you if this sounds even possible. For an immediate, Bill's not going to like this, some sort of crosswalk and signage at Honeysuckle. And I'm not going to worry, outside of the pool and the park, I don't even want to talk about the rest of it yet. Just right there, if we presented something to you that you could tell, not you, but you, the city council, do you think the city council would tell Public Works to go put in this is just a wild one, a crosswalk and a sign on either side of it that tells people to watch out for kids? That needed to be done like in the next 30 days. Is that a possible thing to do? He's not the only vote. What do you think would happen if we brought that to the city council? Would they listen to us?
Well, they'll listen. I will say they'll listen. Whether or not we can do anything, that's another story. But
Okay. But if
to
we.
answer that
Okay,
question.
that's part of it. The second part is, unfortunately, at this point in time, as cumbersome as it is, we need to use the neighborhood traffic planning thing. I'll come over and help you with it. I don't, if you want me, I'll walk up and down the street. I've done that before. I don't see any other option. If you want something larger that's going to involve construction, one, it's going to take, we're lucky if it got done this summer. We can direct small things like put a sign in the ground and put some yellow paint on the corner or something like that. I suspect that could be done, Mike, relatively, if I asked just one corner or two corners. How long would that take to be done if your boss told you to do it? The city council told you to do it?
Not long.
Okay, so that could have been done before, as soon as we could. So that's, what I see is that two pieces have to, and I don't know how to get away or around the neighborhood, because if we bring it up to redo it, we won't get it done this year.
No.
So I think you know that.
If I may, on the,
Okay,
We'll let Dan talk first.
Dan first.
Yeah,
Thank you,
his hand
Mr.
up first.
Chair. The first thing I want to say is, I appreciate that Bill is here tonight, because he doesn't have to be here, and I appreciate that you're here to address this, because that makes it a lot easier for us, because then we know what the ground rules are. The second is, if we bring some to the council, there are some things that are possible that we can do, and I'll let Mr. Lawyer address those.
in terms of adding a crosswalk on a given street, that has to be done compliant with ADA requirements, ADA regulations, okay? That means we will have to rebuild the ADA ramps to connect to the crosswalk. It's not a choice. It has
Okay.
to be done. That's not gonna happen in 30 days, folks. It's just not. It's as fast as we move fast, okay, in Kaiser. Comparatively to a lot of other jurisdictions, we move fast, all right? I can't get that done in 30 days. I can't find a contractor that'll do the work for a reasonable price in 30 days to get it done. They're too darn busy right now. I mean, that's just reality. And so, as much as I might want to do that, I just can't. I could start it, I could get it working, I could get it moving forward, but realistically, to have it complete, 60 to 90 days.
So, Bill,
mean,
the question I have, what realistically could be done?
Before the end of the season?
Yes.
Well, how about July?
The end of July.
Oh, Michael. I could take a vacation.
He's answering.
Short of painting corners, curbs on the corners, not much,
Okay.
realistically. I mean, signage is easy to do, but what kind of sign, okay? It needs to be a recognized sign on the manual and uniform traffic control devices. And like the crosswalk signs, those are for school zones. Those are not for crosswalks in a neighborhood.
Yeah, and you don't
Okay,
have
I can't put them there. I guess that's what I'm saying. I can't. It's not. I won't say legal. It's not proper.
Okay.
So, first, we'll have one comment here, but Carol, if you would mind getting down and we could have some new folks.
Maybe she has some better
And
ideas.
for Dana and her husband, I just want you guys to know, please, if I knew there was a way I could get something done, I'd make it happen. I really would. And even if the council directed Monday night, this is the next city council meeting, and I'm just gonna put this out there. If the council directed me on Monday night to install a tabletop on Fifth Avenue, it's not gonna get done before the end of the pool season, period. It's just not. Again, back to what I said earlier, contractors are all busy. I can't find anybody to do the work. So,
Well, first,
Okay,
well,
well, I have
hold
a
on.
question, and I just want to ask this. If the pool had pool crossing guards, would that be legal? If they had people that had safety jackets on, just like the
Right.
school crossing guards, would that be legal?
Sergeant, or General, whatever it is.
From a construction standpoint, let me answer that question. If they were certified flaggers, yes, it would be, absolutely.
Certified what?
Certified flaggers. And that is a process that's not too cumbersome to happen, okay? If it, that I don't know. If it was, the school district and their crossing guards receive a certain level of training. Are they certified flaggers? I don't know the answer to that, okay? I'm not sure. I doubt that they really are certified flaggers, but if the pool or any organization had folks, maybe the pool membership has people that are certified flaggers in their membership. If they were certified flaggers, yes, it's legal.
So, but it's legal, and what you'll notice is all the school crossing guards, they're actually in crosswalks.
Right.
So if they would be in a crosswalk area,
They'd have to be.
they would be fine.
Okay, which we don't have.
But you wouldn't be able to go out, and that's, I kept my mouth hush, and I've listened a lot. Even if we put a tabletop out there, really depending upon where it's at, and you make it a crosswalk, the way parking is out there, everybody comes from their vehicles. People are not going to, and I'm just bringing this out from 30 years of experience of multiple traffic issues for a very long time. People will leave their vehicles and they will look to cross the street where they're at that point. They're probably not going to go walk 500, 600 feet down the road to a crossing to go back to the pool. So I honestly don't believe that would solve our issue right now. I think it's much deeper, and that's why this process, I think, is even more important to go through, so all those things are evaluated.
Wayne, yeah.
I've been on the traffic committee for about three and a half years now, and my very first idea was to have pedestrian crossing flags. You set up a set of flags on both sides, and when the people are trying to cross the street, they grab a flag and they show their intent to cross the street, and they cross the street and they place the flag on the other side. The original idea was for River Road, which was way too busy for that type of device. On this type of street, it might be a viable solution.
And it's inexpensive.
Unless it's as,
Again, you would have to have it at an
assuming
intersection
that
where
they
a
actually
crosswalk
are
would
going to
be.
go to a point and get the flag, as opposed to just getting out of their car. The sidewalk is on the side of the street opposite from the pool, so that's one thing too, that if people are parked on one side, they're going to be walking down the side that has no sidewalk, right?
No,
So just so I understand, pedestrian crossing flags need to be at a legal crosswalk, which would be an
Painted
intersection.
In the state of Oregon, you have to cross the street at a crosswalk. You can't interfere with the flow of traffic. You have a legal right, once you get into a marked or unmarked crosswalk, to actually cross the roadway, and that's where vehicles are required to yield to you. We don't want to promote people crossing in the middle of roadways without crosswalks like that. So by just putting flags out there.
That is a crosswalk though at that
Well, that
Honeysuckle Fifth Avenue
You're talking-
intersection.
Again, if it's an intersection, then
At,
we're
so,
okay.
yes, at the
then-
intersection, but not down the street.
so it sounds like that could be an option. But that would be something that
That's if the city went for that, that's actually, I've already designed it. I've already costed it out. It's a not too expensive option, and it could be put forward in real soon as a temporary solution.
I think getting the members to comply.
Members of the swim club?
Members of the swim club.
Yeah.
Look at the kids, I mean, children and moms, and, are they gonna do that?
They're gonna
But
blow.
I think there's some problems here. We've got members who are coming from a distance now. Earlier, we talked about the kids that walked in, and then in my day, that's what we talked about, was they walked in because the neighborhood was full of kids. What we've got now is an extended boundary so that even West Salem can come over. That's where we're getting the vehicles from. They don't give a damn about signing a petition to say, what do you want here in our neighborhood? Do you want a crosswalk? Do you want a tabletop? They aren't going to care.
But
They want to take the kid to the pool.
as far as I know, though, that petition has to be just from the people,
The residents.
the residents in that area.
No, that's not correct.
Oh,
The program allows for the neighborhood association to bring it forward. It does not have to come from the residents on the street. Okay? The West Kaiser Neighborhood Association could take formal action to initiate this process. Okay? Now, am I going to recommend and encourage and come right next to demanding that the neighbors be involved? Absolutely. Absolutely. But to initiate it, it could be done by the neighborhood association.
So, just to be clear, that 75% though, would that be from the neighborhood association's collection
The
throughout
way
the
I
neighborhood?
understand the program, the 75% would be of the neighbors initiating it. There is no 75% criteria for the neighborhood association
Right.
to initiate it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So we could do
And
curbs.
oh, yes, Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Mr. Chair de Blasi. Now, we did already put the little radar speed sign things up, did we not? I thought we talked about that last month. So I've been a city councilor now for 7 months or so, someone in that neighborhood. And someone counseled with me early on that said, probably one of the biggest frustrations you're going to have is the speed of government. And I see that happening right here. And I've seen things that we've wanted to do. We talked about things 4 months ago that we wanted to do in city council that aren't even really getting close to having a resolution for it even. And so that stuff drives me nuts. I want to just go do it and get it done. But Mr. Lawyer makes me listen. And there's a reason for that. But I don't give up.
Can I just add something else? We're doing these, these asphalt walkways that invite people into the park. And we're now going to go in and we're going to put this money into putting into tennis courts. How many people have been playing tennis over the last, I don't know how many years, over there at that park? Where do they come from? I mean, is there any measure that says that we have to go use the money to cover those tennis courts for people playing tennis? I don't see anybody playing tennis over there, ever. Ever.
Because of the condition of the courts?
Could be, yeah. And that would be, I think Bill could respond to
They're
that.
not being covered. We're just replacing the surface.
Well, that's what I'm calling covering.
Okay.
That's what, no, not covering.
Okay.
No, let's not even go there.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
No,
was...
I mean the surface.
Got it, okay.
ground.
That's for the big toy later.
Right.
So, we somehow, written that into the budget, but we can't get through the process to get something that would protect the public, protect the children.
And in my experience with government,
Is this fifth?
Yeah,
like Dan was
well, I have a
saying,
lot of
it's
experience
not
with
just
government.
slowness, but it's, these dollars are for this.
Yeah, these dollars
And
are
if
for
you
this, and it's
decide
this,
to
but I know
move
they
it
can be
somewhere,
moved from pot to pot to pot to pot.
it just takes an effort,
Takes an effort.
like a Herculean effort.
I hear you, and I thank you, Mr. Frey and Mr. Dempster, for your suggestions. I really do appreciate it.
Would the city, Public Works, or would the council have to direct Public Works to do what Committee Member Fry had mentioned? The flag?
Based
setup?
on the research and the articles I've seen about the flags, I would like a direction from council, because everything I've read and seen, this is in the region and the nation, they're horrible failures. Horrible failures. Flags disappear, kids throw them at cars, not a good thing. So, because of that, I would want direction from the council, okay? Something I can get behind and support, I'll take a risk. I'll inform the council on things as opposed to ask for direction. But on this one, because of what I know, I would want direction on that one.
Okay.
And one other thing I wanted to mention, I said earlier that we get things done quick in Kaiser. I have budgets and I have identified programs, improvements, maintenance, operations within the many budgets I manage. But they're fluid. Those things change on a monthly, semi-annual basis. I deal with that. Things like we're talking about here, you know, money's not the problem, okay? I want to reemphasize that. It's not money here. It's this darn process, okay? If I'm directed to do something, I'll make it happen. Unless there's absolutely no way funding can happen, I'll make it happen. So I want everybody to understand, in Kaiser, although we're a government, and we do have things that slow things down because we are government, we're also very flexible, and we can make things happen in ways that a lot of other agencies can't. So just know that. Please know that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Gentleman in the back, you had something to say? If you could come up and introduce yourself.
My name is Gary Blake. I'm with the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association, and I live on Cummings Lane in Kaiser. I've heard a lot of discussions today about some current laws that are in effect and what we could do business-wise to be able to go further to make this a more safe situation. What I would like to emphasize is, first of all, we all need to make sure that we are in conformance with all current state laws, federal laws, local laws, and ordinances. There was the safety ordinance.
Neighborhood Traffic Safety Management Plan? Yeah.
Yes. I would hope that we would make sure that we are in conformance with that first and do whatever we can to get that resolved right away. Then the rest of the process beyond that plan we can put together as soon as we possibly can. And the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association will certainly work with the city and do what we can to help make it move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
It does seem like we're facing a short-term and longer-term, two different things need to be done.
Absolutely. Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Chair de Blasi. If I lived in that neighborhood, if I lived on Fifth Street, I would probably go down and buy me some bright orange or bright green cones and probably set them out in the middle of the road just as a temporary basis. I don't know how legal that would be to do, but if I lived there, that's probably what I would do on a short-term basis. The law enforcement officials may come and pick them up, but I'd probably go buy some more if I was that concerned about it, because until the process happens, our hands are tied. But if like you say, if I was that concerned about it, I would get the little yellow guys, with the little flags on them like they have up today, and probably put some of those out at certain times. But that's just me, because I do something when I can. Anyway, sorry.
That's on video.
Bill?
Bill.
One more point I want to make, Mr. Chair, thank you. If the neighborhood, if there's an aggressive approach to the neighborhood traffic management program with this issue, I'm really confident that we could have something in place by the beginning of the next swim season. Okay? I know that's not what you folks want to hear. You want it now. But if this is diligently followed, I'm confident we could have something done. And it might not be in place at the very opening day of the pool, but it would certainly be in place for the better part of the pool season, okay? So I just want to put that out there, that goes back to the money thing. I'll find the money, okay? So I just want everybody to know that.
That's reasonable. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I want to make a motion. I move that the Safety Council here make a recommendation to the City Council to direct Public Works to do I need to make separate motions, or I can make a combined motion?
It depends on what you're saying.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm going to say first. One is to paint the curbs on Honeysuckle, both sides of the street. It's probably more important that the yellow paint be on Honeysuckle. I don't know how long this is going to last, but it has an immediate impact on people, so it goes down Honeysuckle and around the corner a little bit. I don't know what a little bit is, but a little bit. That's one. Two, that we recommended that we would like $500 from the city council to install a flag system that we've discussed here before, that would be at the corners, at the sidewalk, where if a pedestrian is going to cross at the crosswalk, it's the intersection of Honeysuckle and Fifth, could take that flag and use it as the flag people do. Or somebody could go out, who lives there, could go out and take a flag and help the kids cross the street, whatever. That would cost, we could do it for under 500, but that would, we could have that ready to put into place before the end of the month, maybe, if we're lucky, but closely. That's the one proposal.
That's two things. That's two very different
That's
things
two
right there.
recommendation, that's what I was
We might
worried
wanna
about.
vote on those
Okay,
separately.
I make a motion that we recommend the city council have Public Works paint the curbs on Honeysuckle appropriately. Appropriately, I'm gonna let somebody who knows what appropriate is do it.
Yes, Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Dempster,
Yes.
I really need a little more detail.
Yeah.
Paint the curbs yellow on Honeysuckle. Honeysuckle's a fairly long
What,
street.
10 feet from the corner, up Honeysuckle?
At the intersection of Fifth and Honeysuckle, the curbs on Honeysuckle.
For a distance of,
Legal
10
no, the
feet.
legal no parking zone.
what's
is-
50 feet? Well, the legal within the corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
How far is that?
Well, I would
50
say,
feet. So that would be what?
Well, there's not a
3
stop
car-
sign there?
Not a stop sign there?
There's a stop sign on Honeysuckle.
Honeysuckle, yeah.
Oh, honeysuckle.
Well, so, just
So if we're
to,
gonna paint it, we gotta paint the whole 50 feet. That's half that block, right?
You can paint as much as you want to paint. I mean,
Right.
we're talking apples and oranges.
Okay, well,
You said
Bill,
it's already illegal to park at that distance, right?
You don't have to have painting for enforcement.
right, but painting helps people be enforced.
Remember.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's
15 feet, would that,
And educated.
you think,
And
Mike?
educated.
What do you think of 15 feet?
Yeah, and are you talking on Honeysuckle and also on Fifth?
Both sides of
Both sides of the
Honeysuckle
radius?
around, yes.
I understand that, but also on Fifth as it wraps around onto Fifth?
yeah.
Okay.
And what about the east
that
side? Are you
makes sense.
talking, are you talking?
sense.
And I would say we would need that on the opposite side of Fifth too, by the,
No?
because,
That's my motion is, that's it.
okay,
You want to have it both sides?
Both sides of Honeysuckle.
North and south side of honeysuckle?
Yes, at the intersection with Fifth.
Okay, so he moved that the Traffic Bikeways Pedestrian Committee make a recommendation to council to direct Public Works to paint the curb on Honeysuckle and Fifth for 15 feet from the corner, both sides.
Of honeysuckle.
Of both sides of Honeysuckle.
Both sides of Honeysuckle, okay.
and Fifth.
Well, he
15
didn't
feet
say.
from
On both-
corner, on
both corners.
Fifth and Honeysuckle.
Yes.
On both sides of Honeysuckle.
North and south side.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, that's the motion. You don't have
That's
a
the
second.
motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Problem is, I mean, that gets you around.
Now, do we have a discussion on that?
There's nothing over here. land-
Well, on this
Curb
particular
cut.
motion,
Okay, on this
No,
motion.
you're right.
the reason why I thought we should have it
No
on
parking here.
the other side of Fifth is because
It makes it easier to get.
we want people to know where the walking is.
I think it's too complicated, right? I want this done
Is
next
that a
week.
friendly amendment to add paint on the east side of Fifth Street?
I wasn't making an amendment yet, I was just pointing out my
Takes up too
logic.
much parking.
Well,
I'm a little worried about the parking
Have anything over here.
already.
That you can.
No, they
way
won't.
in 88,
There's a
this is
driveway there.
curb.
yeah, there's a driveway that's gonna that keeps people from on the Honeysuckle
This
anyway.
ramp needs to go there.
Just, we can do it next year.
Okay. We're gonna have paint this year and, okay, well, seems like there's no other discussion. So all in favor of the motion to paint the corners of Honeysuckle and Fifth for oh, did you?
Well, if you put something on the east side, and I know you guys are just discussing that on the pool side there, if you do, my question would be, does that help kind of call out by having a car not parked there and also not parked on either side of those radiuses as a semi-safe spot to cross the street? Like you're kind of funneling them there, kind
My
of.
thought.
That's where I saw where you were going, Mike.
I would not put it,
Because I want people to, and to have it where
do it in the intersection.
a car is not there at that crosswalk.
Like here's an opening.
Right, this is where you can walk.
From that guy's driveway,
Which guy?
well, right straight across the street.
Can I have a
Excuse
picture?
me, we have a,
Uh,
okay.
Okay,
Mike,
enough.
you've got something about painting the other side of the street.
Yes. So there is, and it appears to be some type of cross, or curb cut, maybe not actual cut, on the pool side.
no.
There's something there.
No, I think what you're seeing there is actually a small concrete strip
Yes.
that has the water meters, but it's behind a standard curb.
Okay, okay. So, but it is opposite, at least the one.
It's
Curb.
it's approximately opposite, yes. I think it's slightly offset, but
Sure, yeah.
close.
And as you're looking at that image, he has the same image here, on Honeysuckle, the south side of Honeysuckle, okay? If we were to put a compliant ADA ramp on that corner, okay, that crosswalk or the ramp would direct people into the driveway on the east side of the street, okay? That would be the crosswalk. I honestly don't know if that's legal.
Probably not.
I honestly don't know. I've never had a situation where a curb drop, ADA curb ramp goes into a driveway, okay?
Like you would have to skew that crosswalk a little bit to line up with that walkway on the
That
other
may be an
side.
option. On the north side of Honeysuckle, not a problem. We just do a cut on the other side of the street. We have to do them on both sides. We can't only do one side, we have to do both sides.
Right, yeah, we don't
Okay?
want someone to
So,
get to a curb.
Just so I wanted to point that out, that's a challenge in this location. I'm not saying it can't be overcome, and maybe angle it, it's hard to tell from the photo if that angle's gonna be enough, because that ramp, by the time it's the opening.
Flare of it.
The wings and the opening of it, you see that little gray area to the north of the driveway?
Yeah.
That ramp's gonna end up about right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's too skewed or not. I just don't know.
In my mind, that would be all, when Carol and the Neighborhood Association fill out the action plan, or, traffic thingamajiggy, traffic plan, that would present a lot of problems, and then Public Works would be helping solve that problem.
Right.
We don't need to solve it tonight. Thank you. Question is, do you want to paint something on the
The motion on the table.
east side of the street?
Right, there's a
You
motion
wanna
on the
add-
table.
yes.
So
Whether to amend it?
If you
a
want.
friendly amendment would be to paint the east side of Fifth. Yes. To paint the east side of Fifth, at least opposite the north crossing from Honeysuckle.
How many feet?
I would say 10 feet,
Okay.
or, I mean, you don't want it,
How
4 feet would be too small, because people's would,
May as well be the length of one parking space.
right, which is 10 feet approximately.
Small car.
8, really? How big are your cars?
Well, that's 18 is a head-in parking spot, a parallel parking spot, which is what that is.
30 feet.
Along 24 to
Yeah.
30 feet. I don't know what a parallel parking spot, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's gonna be at least 24 feet.
Well, one-
At least 24.
It's a one car length.
No, just one or two car lengths. That's
I wouldn't do 2.
one
But-
car length.
There's always going to be gaps to go through.
Yeah. Well, I would think 1 car length, which we're gonna have to give a number because car lengths vary. So,
That's too much space.
15 feet, the same number we said on the.
well, I think 15 feet might be too much. 10 feet, I think, is a reasonable. Is that? So that's the friendly amendment. Would be to add.
Here, Wayne seconded, so he needs to approve it.
Oh, sure.
Okay, Wayne has seconded that friendly amendment motion.
Okay.
So all in favor, say aye.
On the amendment,
On the whole thing, the whole package.
oh, as amended.
As amended, the motion. All in
Aye.
favor? Aye. All opposed? And no abstentions? Okay, so it passes unanimously. Helps when you have only 4 people. Okay, now, you had
I
another,
would like to make a motion that we ask the city, ask the city council for $500 to pay for the supplies necessary to build, what do you call it?
They're,
Crossing flag
they're
system.
pedestrian flags, pedestrian crossing flags. On a non-busy street, they would be most useful. On a super
So
busy,
that's, my recommendation is to do that.
Pedestrian
We're going to
flags.
ask $500 from the city council to do that.
You had said, the previous motion was the pedestrian crossing flag system that would be at the corners of the sidewalk where a pedestrian is going to cross at the crosswalk, if they could use the flag to cross. Is that what
Did
you
I
said?
say all that?
Yeah, you did. So.
Where do you want these flags?
How do you want to clean that up?
Well-
The flag's on the north side of
well, the corner of Honeysuckle and
So
Fifth.
the flag's on the north side of the
Honeysuckle
Honeysuckle
and Fifth.
intersection.
Wait, now I've got two different people saying things. What is the motion? On the north side?
We start over?
Well, you can. You want to do that?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, we've got, let's do this. Let's go. You move to ask council for $500 to install a pedestrian crossing flag system that would be used.
By the public on the north side of Honeysuckle while crossing Fifth,
At Fifth Street. Yeah.
or at Fifth and north side of Honeysuckle.
Install a pedestrian crossing flag system that would be used by the public on the north side of Honeysuckle crossing Fifth.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion? That is the motion. Do we have a
The
second?
motion.
Any second? Second?
Second.
No. Okay, we have a motion and a second. I will not try to repeat that motion. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay?
And any abstentions? So we have 3 ayes, 1 nay, and no abstentions. Okay, so that's passed. So remember, that's just asking the council to
Give
provide
us
the
some
money.
yeah.
Okay, you said you had some other motion?
I don't know how to, this, what I really would like is, and I don't know if anybody wants to go with me, but I'd help the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association fill out all that paperwork
Okay.
and get that started. And when's your next meeting?
September.
Well, that's,
You can come to my house.
you have the vote somewhere in there.
Assign a subcommittee to assist them.
Anyway, we'll get that set up
You
and
want to
submit
assign
it.
a subcommittee to assist them?
Does anyone else, yes, I don't want to assign anybody, I'm not the
Well,
president.
What's your motion going to be?
do we have to have a
I
motion
motion
for
that the committee help the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association fill out the neighborhood traffic management program paperwork.
Okay, do we have a second?
Well,
Do we need a motion for
willing.
this? Yes. Okay. I don't think,
You don't think so?
you're volunteering, yeah. Okay, well,
Our intent is there, Carol.
Yeah,
yeah, we've had a volunteer to help,
Anybody else want to help her?
yeah, I'll help her.
so we've got 50% tonight. Okay, Wes, did you have something else to say?
Just a couple of quick things. One is that, just informational, it's holidayswimclub.org, if
Holiday
anybody wants to go look for that.
Okay.
And the other is, I think we kind of came here expecting that when projects such as improvements in the park occur, that the city is looking out for what are the ramifications of that. How does that affect traffic? How does that affect pedestrian safety? And apparently, we were a little blue-eyed or looking for blue sky, that, that in fact, where we see a problem that needs to be addressed, and we see something that needs to be addressed quickly, and we also know that, especially as of these last 2 meetings, that that now the city of Kaiser knows that this is a problem. So it creates a liability for the city, and it just seemed to us that the city would want to be more proactive to prevent future lawsuits, whatever, that might occur from injury to kids or ADA compliance suits or whatever. So that was kind of what we were thinking when we came here. And I'm sorry to say I believe that this committee does have that, does see that, but I'm not sure that the system is designed to react to a situation that I think is rather obvious that needs to be addressed. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. Okay, well, I think, at least for this evening, we've done what we can within the system. And hopefully, with the assistance of committee members, the process for the neighborhood transportation management plan will not, traffic management plan will not be too cumbersome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Chair de Blasi. I would also recommend that you assign a member, a couple of members of the committee to come and address that at the city council meeting. There's a spot on the agenda that talks about committee reports, and that would be a good spot to bring that up.
Yes, that's a very good idea.
Next meeting?
Yeah.
Next month?
Yep.
This month?
Like in
It's
a few
coming Monday,
days.
yeah. So, David,
Yeah,
would you like
of
to?
course.
I don't know if Pat, you want to join him because you, as a co-volunteer for that, or you just feel like he's.
7?
7 p.m.
I'll see.
And those are the committee updates are
They're
pretty early in the.
Yeah.
So you won't be there till 11 o'clock.
Because the reason I say that is that will carry a lot more weight than if I go up and say, these are some things that the Bike Ped Committee recommended.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. Thank you. Okay, so you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave now if you'd like. But thank you for all coming. Did you need a break? Oh, you're not welcome to leave. You have to stay. Okay, so let's move on with the project reports. We'll start with Pat. You have Parkway path signage, and you have the public outreach for trash receptacles.
Okay. On the Parkway path signage, I think that the next step in that is going to be in agenda item number 7, Mr. Griffin's report on the possible the ability of the city to sign an agreement whereby the city staff or volunteers could maintain that. So I guess we can either take that comment now or during that item.
I can just answer it now, and I'm sorry, but the answer is no. My funding and also my Street Sky funding comes out of gas taxes, and that money is very specific as to where it can be spent, and it just cannot. And I've talked with Bill about this, and months ago when this was brought up, and then I just verified again here this week because I knew you'd ask the question, and we can't.
The gas, and because of what?
Because of the way how I'm funded, how I'm paid is through gas taxes, and that money is specific to how it can be spent.
Yeah,
and we have to be very careful. And so I've been told that I'm sorry that I can't be over here using this money to
Because
maintain
usually,
those
I thought you
things.
were saying the issue usually with the gas tax money is someone will claim it's not in a public road right-of-way, which that path is part of the public road right-of-way of the Parkway. So that part wouldn't be the issue. It would get back, you're saying, to just whether Kaiser doesn't want to sign an agreement with ODOT to perform that work on the ODOT right-of-way?
Yeah, like I said, I've asked a couple times and the answer's been no, so whether or not it's an intergovernmental agreement or what, I just know it's specific, and if there was a workaround, I assume we would have discussed that, so.
Okay, all right.
Is it possible to consider the Parkway as a part of the park system?
Then you wouldn't not be able to use gas tax
No,
money,
then you
but,
really don't, yeah.
Right.
but it's part of the highway right-of-way.
Okay.
And so it's gas tax eligible, but it's just a matter of, I guess, looking for examples from other cities and see if anybody else is doing it. And whether that would, in time, be able to change a policy here.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't want,
Yeah.
I don't want to help. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's not it by any
If that's
means.
the legal opinion here, then we'll figure out how other cities have solved that issue, because obviously other people are doing that, so
Yeah.
we'll figure out how they got to that.
Thank you.
How they got to yes, I guess,
Yeah,
at some
okay.
point. So we'll have to report on that still later.
Okay.
On the other one, the public outreach for trash receptacles, I haven't addressed that directly, but I did notice this article that was in the June 14th, that was in Kaiser Times on June 14th, which I provided copies to all our committee members as well as staff. And the article was titled "New Tools Sought in Battle to Clear Up Cities' Sidewalks." I don't know, Councilor has stepped out for a minute, but I asked, direct the question to Councilor Kohler. The article, I guess the issue apparently came up to City Council because of those portable basketball hoops obstructing the sidewalk, and how is the city going to deal with perhaps new code or new complaint system or enforcement system around the basketball hoops. But it led me to think that we've discussed on this committee other types of obstructions on the sidewalk and how we would address those. And that was the trash receptacles. How could we get to a clearer policy about where people should place their trash receptacles? So it made me think that both of these things could maybe be addressed as part of a same larger issue if the basketball hoop thing hasn't already been taken care of specifically by council, that instead of approaching it initially from a negative viewpoint about what you can, you can't do this and you can't do that, that it should be an educational opportunity as well as, I guess, a code issue, informing people where they should put the basketball hoop. In other words, put the basketball hoop in the parking area, not on the sidewalk, or here's where to put your garbage can on your collection day. Don't put it in the middle of the sidewalk. Put it in give people some positive statements about where they should put their trash can, where they should put their basketball game, where they can, how close can they park their car to a driveway, and not, it could be also related to bushes that overhang sidewalks, people not parking their car on their driveway, blocking a sidewalk. So there's various kinds of obstructions that could be handled in a holistic way, I guess, part of the same issue. And I think probably that, I or maybe others on the committee would be willing to help staff and council address that type of issue.
So it says in the article that it was specifically basketball hoops in the discussion at council. Did other obstructions come up in the conversation?
Yeah, thank you, Chair de Blasi. There were a lot of things discussed. There were travel trailers that were sticking out. There was the extension cords from a motorhome that go into the house. There were a lot of things talked about. Almost any obstruction that's on the sidewalk.
Okay.
So we've talked about a lot of those things. Councilor Smith, Elizabeth Smith, is the one that brought it up, and we've had some pretty exciting discussions about it.
So it's in process.
Yes.
Okay. So what were you thinking of?
Has the issue that I think you were out of the room momentarily when I mentioned it, the issue that had come up to this committee before you were sitting with us has been the placement of the garbage cans on collection day, and whether they're blocking a sidewalk when they don't have to be, or blocking a bike lane when they don't have to be. And I'd had some discussion with Lawrence Sanitation about that, and I guess they're part of a association of trash collectors that we would have to go to the board of that association that deals with a couple different counties or something. So I don't know whether that's something that could be addressed as a city issue, to say, within the city of Kaiser, this is what we expect for the placement of the cans before and after they're collected, both actually. And then approach that to the Trash Haulers Association. I wonder, Counselor, how you see the best way for this concern to be raised, or maybe incorporated into what the council's
Chair
already
de Blasi, Pat
considering.
Fisher, one of the things that happens is that it's really hard to come up with a rule because you have so many different variables. You have some places that don't even have sidewalks,
Right.
and then some places that don't have bike paths. And so how do you make a rule when there's so many variables? That's probably part of the most difficult things, is how do you do it? And I think that if we look at it on a street-by-street basis, there are some areas where there isn't any other place to put a trash receptacle other than in the bike path, because that's all there is. And so it's a difficult, hard thing to try to figure out. If you have some ideas, we'll be happy to listen to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of what has been kind of on my plate to tackle for a while, but one idea was to think of maybe, like you say, there's different scenarios, and come up with maybe 4 or 5 of the most common ones, and then the advice. If this is your situation in front of your house, this is your best place, appropriate place to put your cans, and give them like number 1 and 2 choices of where they should, depending on whether they have a curb and no sidewalk, a curb and a sidewalk, no curb and a bike lane, or no curb and no bike lane. What should or do they have the rain garden type situation like on Shamawa Road? So in all those different
Swales.
situations, what's the optimum place for the, and that would be I guess, starting as an education effort. That could happen independently of the sidewalk obstruction thing, or with it. So
Right, and again, there's some opportunities. We have 4 community meetings that the chamber puts on every year. The one that's coming up in a couple of months has to do with Kaiser Fest.
Yeah.
But we have 3 others that if we wanted to put some things together and have a community meeting about how to address that and some positive ways that we can make it easier for everybody. That may be one of those opportunities, one of those places where that could be done.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because they don't have anything planned.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Debbie.
All right, well, let's move on to Wayne.
I really haven't done much in the last month. I did do a bike ride and raised a bunch of money for Children's Cancer Program, and that was kind of my focus in the last month. As far as safe routes to school, I haven't done anything. Safe routes to parks, we're starting to actually talk about that tonight with Willamette Manor. For the evaluation of the bike racks in the parks, I've done it once for the school. For schools, I've got the bike racks. I've done it twice for schools. First time was capacity, and the second time was usage. I have not done that yet for parks, but that's something I can do. So that's, really all I have.
Okay.
No update.
All right, well, since the next 3, 4, 5 are essentially people who were not here, I think we'll just skip over all those and head over to committee member input. Do we have anything to add?
Okay, go ahead. Who wants to go first?
We'll start with Wayne and we'll work our way down.
Nothing new.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have, on the 27th, police what's the run we're doing on the 27th?
The 5K foot pursuit?
Yes. 7/27, right?
I have it on my,
Yeah.
Dorothy Deal is,
In charge, yes. So we're having a display of safety information and offering cheap bike helmets.
Did you
that's
get
a
the
sponsor
email
of
today
Special
that came from?
From the, yes, forwarded.
Your contact is?
I'll contact her tomorrow, yes. Her, I don't, whoever it is, I thought it was her.
I think it was a her, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know anymore, names change. Yes, and so I know Hirsch was planning on going and I'm going. We have tables and an umbrella and lots of brochures and helmets.
I'll be there.
And then we have another event, the Serve Fest, are you familiar with Serve Fest? The church, Lakeside Church?
I've heard of it.
Okay, they have a large event where they do lots of things for I guess it's low-income people. They buy $200 or $300 worth of helmets from us, which is 50 or 60 helmets. And we go there and give them away for free and fit the kids with them.
Or $5.
Yeah, well, we lose a lot of money on it, but that's okay. And we set the kids up, we give out information, we have a booth. That's in August. It seems to me it was August 27th, but I'm not sure that, it's towards the end of August. I don't have the exact date. We will do, it's the same thing.
Okay. Pat, anything?
Nothing else beyond what I already reported.
And I have nothing. Joe had sent us that link to the, I can't remember, the ABP or something like that conference. I'd like to go. The price hurts my wallet, so I don't know if I'll make it, but it's a conference. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. That would help. All right, well, I will do that. Staff report, Mike already talked about the parkway signage. Did you have anything else to bring up?
Sure, yeah. Let's see, R&R is the contractor doing the ADA ramps up and down River Road, and there's still 1, 2, 3, there's a handful, maybe 5 or so left. They're wrapping that project up. Next week, starting Monday, Roy Hauk Construction are the ones that got the paving bid for the River Road resurfacing this year. They're going to start Monday at the south end of town, about Plymouth, and start working their way this way, lowering all the manholes and water valves and gas valves, because the plan is in about 2.5 weeks when we come in and do the night paving, a grinder will come through and take 2.5 inches off the entire road, and then they'll pave right back, and then the week after that, they bring those utilities back up to grade. So just watch out. There'll still be more construction going on along River Road for the next, so let's see, Monday, July 15th, and they propose to be done at the end of August, so August 30th, so.
Summer in Oregon.
Yep. So, yeah, it'll be good, so.
I suppose we should have probably told the folks who are here that Fifth Street's going to get busy, or sounds like.
Well, it's on our website, and
Okay.
so.
All right.
That's the update I have.
Okay, thank you. Officer Delay?
Lede?
Lede, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I am delayed to things a lot of times. So just recently, within the last 2 weeks, we had one of our motor officers retire. Officer Wampler has finally put in his last years and officially retired from the police department. So we currently have an opening on our motor unit right now, but I think we have 4 positions that we got to get trained before we can backfill that. So we're probably looking at least another probably 6 to 8 months, I'm guessing, before we can get that position filled. So currently just down to 2 motors right now. River Road has definitely been an influx for us as far as busyness with all the road construction. As we've all heard, that's kind of displaced cars, but it's also caused a lot of small fender bender crashes. So we've been keeping busy trying to keep up with those items. Shy of that, everything still seems to be going well.
Okay, there was this police education component for cyclists. What was
Do
that?
you remember that? It was, I believe David had asked because there was a cyclist that was driving the wrong way on Wheatland and Bikways.
I have it written down again, kind of. As a question for Sergeant.
Right, okay.
I've heard, and that, if I'm wrong, just tell me, that the police department had either, I guess it was a policy, an educational component of policing, traffic policing, of somehow imparting the laws, use of bike lanes, crosswalks, things like that, an educational component. And I wasn't sure that was true or not. And if it is true,
I'm not sure I'm understanding.
well, okay, let me give specific examples. Do you know of any cases where police have gone into the schools to instruct the kids on how to walk safely?
Not necessarily that. We've
Okay.
gone in and done driver education programs.
You have a driver education program. Do you have any programs where you go into the senior centers or the homes for people like me, older people, where you try and
We have
educate them
already.
on what things you have to watch out for as you reach your twilight years when you're driving? But do we have that, any program like that? Are we supposed to?
The unit's designed as what where you can do as much as you possibly can. There's a lot of things that I would like to see us do as a traffic safety unit in the future, but all that evolves around manpower and hours and trying to prioritize where everything's at. Today was a perfect example of the neighborhoods that had came in as far as where a lot of our times are being taken to, which actually there's a lot of time that's been addressed over on Fifth Avenue too with our.
Is there anything that cadets could do? Do you have cadets, right? I've talked to some young
We do
people.
have cadets, but they're
Is there-
very random and they also have to be supervised.
Okay. It seems to me that a lot of the stuff is, the things irk me, are caused by ignorance, not by malicious intent. So people riding the wrong way on the bike lane.
Most of them know they're not supposed to do it.
I know,
feel
but
that
they
their
do it
reasons are
anyway,
better.
right. Things like that, or driving too fast, or driving too slow, or whatever. That maybe if there was an educational component for some specific audiences would be helpful.
Do you hand out documents or booklets or anything when you do these driver safety things? That we could add
Not
a,
necessarily that we hand out in the school. I mean, we actually give a presentation when we have. It's been a while since we've gone into school and done it, again, because we went 5 years basically without a traffic safety unit. So starting things back, getting 3 officers back up and going, and then immediately losing another one. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, again, that we would love to do. It's just going to take a while to be able to get there.
I'm not trying to make work for you, don't get me wrong.
Infancy, we're in that infancy stage still, trying to grow legs.
Okay, so that's
To answer
something,
your question, the educational aspect is I absolutely see more educational programs in the future as soon as we can get up to that
find
level
somebody,
again.
well, yeah, because it doesn't do any good for me to go in and tell someone. You have a lot more influence when you go in.
yeah. Okay, anything to report, Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Chair de Blasi. So I did have a couple questions. The 14th and Lock Haven construction, when is that supposed to start? The widening the street for the right turn lane?
Very shortly here, they did do some saw cutting here recently, and they're ready to get out there and get to work. I do know we're making sure that they have all the components to complete the job with the signals right there, and if they don't, that could put some delay on the project. We don't want to open up that intersection and then find out we're waiting on parts and then have it sit. So, so to answer your question, I think it's going to happen here fairly quickly within the next week or so. But then again, if we're waiting on parts, then it'll be a while. So.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. And then on on one of the councilors' Facebook pages, there were some questions about, do we really need to resurface River Road? And I think if you were to drive down River Road and look at all the fractures and cracks in there, you would be able to answer that pretty quickly. So it's definitely something we've got to do, and it's time to do it. If we wait any longer, it will be an absolute nightmare. And that's really our only north-south corridor, and we have to be sure and take good care of that. So those were the things that I had. I encourage you again to come Monday night, because I think that'll make a difference. I appreciate the people that came today. The speed of government, it just kills me.
Isn't it?
Oh, it just drives me nuts. But, we'll do the best we can do and go forward. Now, I understand that Officer Wampler has been rehired on a temporary basis.
To the patrol staff, yeah.
Yes.
Fill a patrol void at the moment.
We appreciate his willingness to do that. That's all that I have.
All right, thank you. All right, seeing nothing else on the agenda, I will close.
One more note,
Yes, fine.
not related to traffic, but related to parks. At Country Glen Park, there's some new exercise equipment there. There's a 7-station workstation. And at Claggett Creek, there's also some exercise equipment that has been placed there. So you should go and work out. The one at Country Glen is like you can do assisted pull-ups and assisted bar dips and knee ups and 4 other things I didn't try today.
Ride your bike over and try that.
All right, that's right. Well, thank you, and I will adjourn the meeting. Can we shut the...